Hello, hello. How are you guys? It's me, Kirsten. This is the It's Giving Mystical podcast, and this is your weekly card pull. So, how's August treating you? Let me know. What's the tea? How's it going? August. It's so interesting. I think that there's this beautiful realization happening, this beautiful witnessing happening of the old things, the old patterns, the old ways that no longer work for us. And this really open-handed, gentle curiosity. Like, all I want to say is, yay, you. Because if you're listening to this or we work together, I'm just watching all of the people I work with have these moments where they are just trusting themselves so much more deeply than they ever have before. And it's such an awesome thing to behold, truly. And I know I'm prone to joy and exaggeration and optimism, but I don't care, man, whatever. I see it and it makes my heart feel wide and open. It makes my body soft and relaxed. And it's just so cool to see this question of desire, this question of the impulses pushing up from the earth, pushing up from our bodies through our hearts, the longings and the messaging coming through, and what we do with that messaging, the honoring of that, the ways in which we're aware of. I talk about Gay Hendricks all the time, but one of his key conversations is around this idea of an upper limit problem for so many reasons. And if you've ever read the Big Leap, you can see, and he'll detail all the details for you. But there's so many reasons why we clamp ourselves off from joy, why we think we are undeserving of joy, undeserving of grace and flow and open living, open-hearted, wide open living. And we tend to want to be the ones to shut ourselves off from that before the world can take it away from us. He talks about this idea of watching how you do that, watching how when you feel joy, happiness, ease, relaxation, peace, that you cut yourself off from it. So you just notice next time you're feeling good, I feel good. Watch when that transition happens to not feeling good. And he says, if you can just stay with that good feeling one more minute, one more breath, one more beat. So I feel good, and my nervous system, my habitual response is to shift the dynamic. Don't get too excited for 1,000 different reasons, right? But there's this way that we kind of cut ourselves off from openness. And it takes real practice and real presence to not do so. But he says if you just take that extra minute, that extra beat, that extra breath, the best thing that can happen is that you can really start to navigate your life differently. The world can really change shape, and you can find yourself headed in directions that you never would have imagined you would head in. And the downside is you get to live more moments, more beats, more breaths of your life happy and in joy and in peace. There's no downside. You have nothing to lose trying this out. So in this moment in August, when there's this rush up from the earth, up from the ground, trying to help us understand, feel our essence, our bodies more fully, our desires more fully, live in this more heightened, aware, present state, to feel the pressure coming down. I really do feel it like coming down from above, from the headspace, saying, is this okay? Is this appropriate? Am I allowed this? And what's happening in the people I'm working with, I'm noticing this like ability to step back and witness that whole dynamic and choose accordingly. And that's the whole thing. The whole thing is not to get so caught up in the drama that all you think you are the drama. You think life is the drama, versus the stepping back, the witnessing into, this is life lifing. This is me living. This is the world, time, experience unfolding. And I am just here with it. And I will continue to be here with it. And as you do that, you develop this deep, deep trust in yourself, this capacity to understand that you can handle anything. There's no emotion, feeling, thought, event that will run into you, that will impact you, that you can't be with. And that's a really beautiful state of grace. Feel that happening, watching that happening. It is a blessing to witness. I wonder what your experience of this time is. I wonder if you're having any of these hints. I have a feeling you probably are. And so I just applaud the work. I applaud the presence. I applaud the self-love and self-care and self-attunement, self-attention that comes with that work. The Seven of Cups was an interesting week, and I wonder what it was like for you. All that glitters is not gold. Where did you find yourself maybe rushing towards something and then noticing, why am I rushing towards that thing? Why is that the thing I want? And just this, again, pause, this moment to say, is this actually aligned with the world I want to live in, the life I'm creating, the person I want to be? Is this truly in line with the wholeness of me, my integrity, my fullness, my presence? I think there was probably a moment where you saw that. I sure did. And it was cool. It was cool to witness. Is it easy? No. But is it interesting? Yes. And are you learning from it? 100%. The card I pulled for us this week is the Hermit, and we've had the Hermit a couple times. I think we had him come in reverse, we've had him come in upright, and what I will say is when the card came out of the deck and I looked at it, it felt so bright and clear and well defined. And the way that felt, the way I'm reading that, the way that lands in my system is this is very pure Hermit energy. I would encourage you to spend some time with the Hermit card, to pull it out of whatever deck you work with, whatever your favorite image of the Hermit is, and sit with it and be with it. There is a very clear, very pure, very like platonic transmission of the Hermit that wants to come through to us to this week. One of my favorite thoughts about the Hermit is that they've come to the end of the road. Like the Hermit, the energy of the Hermit is one who walks alone, right? One who walks alone, seeking their own light, seeking wisdom, seeking the edges. Really think about that. The Hermit is the one who seeks the edges of what is known. And at the edge of what is known, what do you find? You find the unknown. And I just really want to like tie that into this moment that we're in. You've walked to the edge of what you've known. And along the way, you've gathered self-confidence, you've gathered wisdom, you've gathered this deep trust of yourself. And now you find yourself at the edge. What an interesting place to be. What an act of faith to arrive at the edge, to arrive at the place of the unknown, and then to keep going. And the Hermit always brings up this energy of how we move. Like, how do we move? The Chariot, the Knight of Wands, the King of Wands, right? The Knight of Swords. God, that guy can't slow down. They just charge into the world, right? They charge to the edge if they ever reach the edge. The Hermit walks more slowly and more deliberately, and the Hermit can often feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It can feel nonlinear, it can feel intuitive, it can feel confusing, and that's good, that's right. This is this feeling of trusting these. What's the best way to describe this? I'm sure that you're feeling this on some level. I feel this urge to be more precise in this particular reading of this card. What I will say is I want you to feel into your feet on the ground, feel the connection to the earth, and feel this co-creative energy that moves from the earth up through the soles of your feet, through your legs, into your root, into your sacral, into your solar plexus, into your heart, that inspires movement, that inspires your footsteps. There's something about the Hermit showing up this week that just wants you to become aware of how you move in a dance with the universe, that you are not doing this by yourself. And there's a way in which we move with what we know, we move towards what we know. This whole idea of 90% of the thoughts you have today are the thoughts you had yesterday, are the thoughts you'll have tomorrow. We move in these like pathways, we move along these kind of wheels, these timelines. The Hermit is the moment where we reach the end. One of my daughters, we were working with the tarot together, and she was doing a lot of work with the Hermit card, and she said she had this image of standing on this cliff like overlooking the sea, and her engagement with the Hermit in this place. I've also had something similar. There is a way in when you do direct revelation with the Hermit, when you work with the Hermit card, you often find yourself, not always, but often find yourself at this edge, whatever that means to you. I just got such full body chills when I said that. Find yourself at the edge, and what does it mean to keep going? What does it mean to stand at the edge and not know what's next? There's such deep trust in yourself and who you are, and also such deep trust in the universe, such deep trust in that something will meet you. And what is that something? And that's kind of a conversation for you to have, by yourself in your journal or in a group or however you want to have it. But what is this unknown that continues to meet you? What is this unknown that continues to offer you a path, even offer you an impulse forward or an impulse to step back, even when you're not sure why? What is that? What is that? What is that? It can be so many things, right? But that's the energy we're working with. It's very mysterious, but at the same time, it's so solid. So that's just such an interesting paradox, and I can feel both those things in my body at the same time. And it leaves me feeling full of wonder. That's what it leaves me feeling like. What does it mean if I've reached the edge? What does it mean that I am trustable here at the edge? What does it mean that I am going to hold my own light here in the darkness? It's just interesting. I say that so often. I'm so sorry. But it is really interesting. I guess that's why I do this podcast and why I work with tarot, because I find it endlessly interesting. The other thing to remember about the Hermit card is that it is a number 9, and nines are completion. Thinking about the major arcana, we go from this 9, this completion, into a 10, into the Wheel of Fortune. And what that means, that like defines the unknown, the Wheel of Fortune. It's the karmic wheel, it's the wheel of fate, the wheel of destiny. So what does that offer to this conversation about finding yourself at the edge, meeting the unknown, and then the karmic wheel spinning? And what I can feel is these timelines spreading out from this place. And I was working with someone in the Akasha earlier this week, and I saw this beautiful image of this like transit station, but it was also this like Aztec transit station. And the way that for this person in particular, all of their lives converged at this transit station, and then it was the key, there's like this key being turned, and then all these other timelines were stretching out from it. And the thought was, what came to me was, if you've ever heard that concept of past lives, of the quantum field, that time doesn't exist, obviously. I hope we know this by now. Time is not this kind of finite line running out in front of us and behind us. But one of the concepts of what is time is that it is spokes on a wheel, right? And that your past lives, as you visit them, are actually happening concurrently. And it's the sliding doors phenomenon. Like you're living all of the lives at once. What would it mean? So this is just something to throw out there, something I saw this week in the Akasha, and it just kind of blew my mind, and I kind of want to talk about it. So if anyone wants to talk about it, text me, hit me up. What if there's a moment in your incarnations where all of your lives converge energetically at the same place? Like, so if you imagine spokes on a wheel as this concept, and the idea is like you're centered at it, right? And your soul is so vast, it's living all of these experiences at once. What if there's this feeling in this chariot year where we're drawing our energy back? What if there's this feeling of all of that energy back to the center just for a moment, and then expanding back out again? What would that be like? What would that do? It reminds me of these concepts around quantum jumping. It reminds me of these conversations about changing your vibration. The world can look exactly the same, and yet it's not the same. It's a totally different experience. All that's coming through with this Hermit energy, but what I'll say is that the Hermit is completion. It is 9. It is done. So in a Hermit week, in a Hermit time, in a Hermit section of living, there will be completion. Things will come to an end. And we are moving in September, we will be in the Hermit month. So there might also be some things in this week ahead that kind of tie a thread to what is coming up in September. I would encourage you not to get ahead of yourself, but just to experience the echoes like salt spray on your skin. Like, oh, that's September, here it comes, but I'm not there yet. And I don't need to go there yet. I can be here. I'm very curious, as always, about what this will be like for you. You might be called to isolation. You might be called to step away, and that's all right. You might be called to retreat, also okay. You might be called to leap into the abyss of the unknown, whatever that means for you. And you are just very supported in that. This idea of the Hermit, it's just this beautiful moment where with what you've known, with what you've been taught, with what you've been told, this ties very much also to that 7 of Cups energy, right? Like what you've been told, you've navigated so far by what you've been told. You've navigated so far by what you've known. And now you come to this place of, I don't know. You come to this place of the unknown. You come to this place of the unfolding into mystery. That's a pretty cool place to hang out. So what I would say is don't rush this. Don't rush this. And if you have yearnings, desires, longings that are kind of bubbling up and kind of compelling you to move, see if you can just fill your space with that instead. See if you can just be with those and allow that longing to like open up into your body, open up into your field. And it also ties back to what we talked about last week, this idea that what if we're emptying out these old pieces of furniture that live in our energetic field? There's more space suddenly. And instead of allowing other things to drop into that, you use your own energy to fill that space. It's so magnetic. It's so magnetic. And standing on the edge of the unknown, allowing yourself to kind of soak in, saturate in your fullness, in your essence, in all of the impulses and all of the drives coming up from the ground, meeting your body and moving out into space, right? You just like fill that space with all of those things. What will meet you there? That's a fantastic experiment. What will meet you there? This is an act of faith to know that you can stand on the edge and that the world doesn't end. The world you've known might be ending, but the world does not end. The universe is infinitely expanding. So as you reach the edge retreats. That's some cool shit. Hermit, hang out with them. Hang out with him or her or whatever your concept of the hermit is. Hang out there. Stay still this week. And it doesn't mean you're staying still physically, but energetically, stay with yourself. I am so curious as to what this week will bring for you. And I can just feel that your efforts will be rewarded like 100-fold. I can just feel that so clearly. There's something about this hermit that is just shining like a star as I hold it in my hand. The transmission is very powerful and it really wants to speak to you. You are safe and you are trustable and you are capable here at this edge. And maybe this is kind of the beginning of everything. And maybe this is the beginning of everything you've been asking for. We will see, we will see, we will see. Sending you so much love. That idea of you might be standing on the edge, but so is this army of seekers. Like we're all here, we're all standing at the edge. What does that mean? What will happen next? I am so curious. So much love, big hug, and I will talk to you soon. It's giving everything is sacred. It's giving art. It's giving light you up and turn you on and set you free. It's giving curiosity. It's giving freedom. It's giving love. It's giving you are more magical and powerful than you can comprehend. It's giving, I don't know what's happening, but I am so here for it. It's giving you are pure potential. It's giving mystical.